Hey, welcome back to another video. I have an article that I wanted to talk about that I recently found. It's actually an older article, and it's about a person who filed 10 false allegations and ultimately lost custody of their child. So basically, this is from Eyewitness News, ABC 7, published in 2016. So it's an older article, but I think this stuff comes up, I'd say relatively often. And I wanted to just use this to illustrate a point that if you can have the perseverance to deal with this, endure this crap, not make mistakes when you're going through it, there appears to be a lot of evidence to show that you'll ultimately be vindicated and things will get finally exposed for what's going on. I'm just going to switch this to reader view just so it'll be easier for you guys to see. So it's out of Houston. It says, a mother has been arrested after court documents revealed she filed nearly a dozen false CPS, Child Protective Services reports against the father of her child. Maria was arrested in Camarillo County last week on felony count of making a false report. According to court documents, she made 10 reports to CPS over the span of 5 years of neglect, abuse, and sexual abuse. Now that's we talk about, the John Mast story we just talked about the other day, the one that Eric Carroll from Dad Talk Today just released the documentary on. This kind of shows, it's the same type of thing, right? It's a silver bullet that's used to try to get advantage in family court and erase the other parent out of the kids' lives. Anyways, let's get back into the article. Court papers state on several occasions that the mother was verbally combative with CPS workers. According to court records, caseworkers found no evidence of abuse in the mother's daughter's case. So people can get very aggressive in litigation and make false claims, quote, said a longtime family law attorney, Lauren Wendell. Some people use that as a tool in litigation to gain the upper hand. Again, the silver bullet. We were just talking, it's 2016. This crap has been going on for a long time. Now, the fact that this was so egregious back then and the person was able to, or the father was able to gain custody as a result of this. You guys, if you're the target of this crap, make sure you keep your head on straight. Stay as calm as you can. Fight it tooth and nail. Do not give up and keep pressing forward. Because story after story, there's examples of this and how it ultimately turns around. Technically, if going back to the John Mast case, minus, his murder, he, after 3 years, was finally able to beat back those allegations, prove that they were false, get the court to finally see it. Now, I'll talk in another video about the dangers of dealing with people who are making overt and covert threats against you. But that's for a different video. So let me get back to where I was. In April, the person emailed ABC 13 a video of her at a park. The video shows a man serving her court papers while her daughter is playing at the park. The mother is then heard screaming as she runs to keep her daughter's father from taking her. The mom stated in the email she had an appointment with a CPS evaluator that day. The CPS report, according to the court papers, was not substantiated. Quote, "It's devastating," said Wendell. "It's very detrimental to the case, for one, but it could be devastating to the particular parent socially, financially. They could possibly lose their job, lose their child, temporarily or forever." See, the problem is, or the thing to remember, is when you're dealing with a high conflict, narcissistic, toxic person, the only thing that matters to them is winning. They don't care if they hurt you. They don't care if they hurt their child. They don't care. Victory is their absolute goal. Now, if you understand that, and if the person is continually making false statements, and you don't fall into the trap, or you don't take the bait and make serious mistakes, then you're much better off. It's kind of crazy though, because you think, it's like they'll start out with allegations of physical abuse against them, then they'll turn into allegations of abuse, physical abuse, or not sexual abuse, but just regular abuse, as if that's bad enough. But then they push it to the effing extreme, which in some situations I think it's probably even better for the target, because if it's so over the effing top that it's just completely garbage, they are going to destroy themselves ultimately as a result of it. So getting back on this, she said these types of arrests are rare, even though she said this kind of thing, false CPS reports, happens all the time. So let me scroll down. So I'm glad that the DA and the prosecutor are taking steps to prosecute these situations. I think it's very important, said Wendell. Wendell also said the ones who really suffer are the kids in the middle. I mean, yes, the kids do suffer, but the target suffers too. I mean, they hinted to it because it ruins your reputation. You're always painted with this doubt of, is it true? Is it a lie? I mean, I guarantee you in this situation, whoever is around in this particular situation, in this story, the mom she's gonna go back and say that, the person, the ex tricked the courts and they lied and they were able to manipulate everybody, and, it's not true. Again, going back to the John Mass case, that's probably what happened to turn the father-in-law to make him make that drastic mistake. And if you're not familiar with it, I'll leave a link to a card for Eric's video, and I'll leave a link for the live stream I did with Eric before he released his documentary, so you can find out more. The takeaway of this is, okay, not all the time, not often is a person prosecuted for these false allegations. But 2016, right? Let me scroll back up over here. Let me get back over here, turn off the read mode. 2016, February 17th of 2016, this happened. And I would venture to guess that this has happened since then too. And if you're familiar of any other stories, please leave me a link in the comments below. And if it won't let you post a link, send me an email. My email is in the description of this video, because I'd love to hear it. And I think I'm going to start trying to go through some of these and highlight some of these, because one, this is an example of a horrible situation that ultimately turned around. I'm even dealing with a couple of people with coaching calls right now who are dealing with this type of situation. And my gut feeling, and I won't know for sure until it ultimately happens, is that this is what will happen in their story. That the other parent has been so effing vindictive with false allegations, with making stuff up, that ultimately it's going to blow up in their face. And in the one story, if you've heard this caller, they call in every once in a while to when I do the live shows sometimes. And that's their situation. They've like 5 or 6 false sexual allegations against both of his really young kids, 4 or 5 years old. But it's been so over the top that CPS doesn't believe it anymore. Law enforcement, when the detectives and the investigators investigate it criminally because they had to, and doesn't believe it anymore. Kid's therapist doesn't believe it anymore. So, I mean, it's just a matter of time. Now, here's the other. Okay, so let me just say, flip this around. If you are concerned about your ex doing something bad, obviously popping a flare, making some phone calls, taking the kids to a mandatory report to where they say something. But what you have to keep in mind, if it isn't substantiated, you really have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Is this real? Is this really happening? Am I just taking something out of context and trying to err on the side of caution? And the reason I say this is you have to be really careful, because when you pick one of these fights and you press the button, if you lose your credibility, you hear me talk about this whenever I do a live stream. Normally it's in the context of diagnosing your ex. But fundamentally, the truth on this is if you lose your credibility in the family court, you are going to have a real tough time. You have to be really careful of that. So on that, I'm curious what you think. What do you think about this story? Are you surprised that the court finally said, hey, this is crap, and they prosecuted the person making the false allegations? Seems like most of the time this doesn't happen. So personally, I'm kind of surprised. But again, if you know of other situations like this, please leave me a link on it. I'd like to research that some more. So on that, if you found this video helpful, please like it. Please give me a comment. It helps with the algorithm. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, select all notifications so that whenever I post a video, you don't miss a thing. All right, on that, I will chat with you later.